right, guys, I'm gonna do this quick video right here. And this right here video is inspired about I was talking to a builder the other day, and he's building a house on my street. So both of us are building a house on my street that I live on, and one of his subcontractors, his concrete form guy, he left the trucks he left his trucks at the end of the cul-de-sac, and he don't move them. They've been there for about a month. Which, guys, a lot of time when you have these form guys, concrete form guys, they just leaving trucks. Their intention is to move the truck from site to site. So the reason that you would leave a concrete truck in a particular place for about a month, and you don't have a DOT on the truck, you don't have a tag on the truck, you need to store the truck. So you really don't have a place to store it, to store the truck. So when you need them, you pull them. So they just try to put them from site to site. So what that tells me is that, number one, this concrete guy does not have any jobs. He doesn't have enough jobs going on where he can pull the trucks from site to site. Or he doesn't have a place to store his truck, so he don't want to pay the money to store the truck. So he just leave them there, and you can't. It's hard to do things to them because you can't. They don't have a DOT on it. We can. The association, the HOA, can actually tow the trucks. That would be another thing that we're probably looking into doing. But when I talked to this builder, I found out who his concrete guy was, and I actually used to use the guy. And to be honest with you, man, I stopped using him because he was a subcontractor that would make decisions on my site. And there's a fork in the road, and in a fork in the road, it can be more expensive, but you have to do it. But when that fork in the road comes, instead of him picking up the phone and calling me and saying, hey, this is what's going wrong right here. This is what I got right here. What decision do you want me to make? He would just go ahead and make the decision himself. Even though the decision that costs you $4,000 or $5,000 more dollars, he'd go ahead and make the decision, and then he'll just invoice you for what he want to invoice you for. Or he'll just add that stuff onto the invoice without consulting you first. Well, he did that to me. And this is a situation, guys, where I said, no, I'm not going to pay it. I'm not going to pay it, and you can sue me, and we can go back and forth and do what we need to do. Matter of fact, I told him, I said, sue me. You won't win this one because you made the decision to do that. Now, here's the thing, guys. When you're dealing with your subcontractors, if it's concrete, let's just say it's my concrete form guy, and in different municipalities, especially here in this area, man, we probably got about 10 different municipalities just within a 30-mile radius. But is your job, when you produce your quote to me, is your job as a concrete form guy to dig into that municipality and figure out what ordinances are in place for that particular municipality? Once you figure that out, you figure out how much rebar. That's going to tell you how much rebar you got to run. That's going to tell you anything that's different from the International Residential Code book. You're going to make that decision. It's going to be determined when you go to when that subcontractor or that concrete guy go to that municipality and get his information from them. That's what I pay him for. Now, I don't do form work, but I expect my concrete guys to be savvy, to be so savvy that they can go to that municipality, figure out what exactly that municipality is going to expect. Once you figure that out, you go ahead and you design your quote based on what's needed and what's necessary in that particular municipality. And then once you figure that out, then you give me a quote. And the quote, if it's more, it is what it is. But you have to give that to me. And what you have to do is once you give that to me, you let me make the decision whether or not I want to use you or not. Yes, I'm probably going to quote you. I'm going to shop you, maybe I might have one other guy that I'm gonna shop you with just to make sure you guys are on the same page. But if you're a really good subcontractor and you're very savvy and you understand your game, then if you $200 or $300 or $600 more than the other guy, I would still use you because it becomes more of a relationship more so than anything. But this guy, what he did, he went in and he just said, hey, he didn't do that. He didn't go to the municipality and figure that out first. Now, this guy this is what he do. This is your job. This is all you got to focus on. What he did was he went out there and he did what he did. He put it up according to the International Residential Code, called the inspector out. The inspector came out. Now, this is after he gave me a quote. So then he called the inspector out. The inspector comes out and say, well, hey, according to our ordinance in our municipality, you got to do double the amount of rebar. So now, which for his labor and cost, let's just say he wanted to charge me another $3,000 to $4,000 just for the rebar, to install the additional rebar that this municipality needed. So instead of him letting me know that, or stopping right there and say, hey, the inspector, or better yet, you need to do this on the front end. But even still, he could have stopped right there and said, hey, man, I messed up. I made a mistake. I didn't go to these guys on the front end to figure out what everything they want me to do in this particular municipality. I made that mistake, man. Here's what I can do. We could either split the difference or we can do whatever we can do. Or even if he didn't split the difference, he could just say, hey, man, I messed up. I made a mistake. And I probably would have had, hey, man, all right, man, I get it, man. Let's go ahead and move forward. I probably would have done that. I don't know what I would have done at that point. I would have been pissed off, number one. But instead of him doing that, man, this guy just went on ahead and did it, didn't tell me nothing. Then when he sent me the invoice, he hid behind that invoice. He sent me an invoice, and guys, this is why I tell you guys, you better look at your invoices. You better check your invoices to make sure they're right. And you better take the original quote and your invoice and stick them together and make sure they match. That's what you better do. And that's what I did. See, some builders just go ahead and just stroke checks for them. I don't do that. Every last invoice that comes to me, it has to come through my little system that I have. But if it had done that, man, we could have probably worked through it, man. But he came at the end after he had, didn't give me an opportunity to make the decision. And then he came in and just sent me an invoice and just expect me to pay it. That's not how it works, guys. You go broke if you don't control your subs. Now, he also, so me and this other builder, we were also talking. And I was like, well, man, you ever thought about using this guy, which is who I've been using? It's like, well, that guy right there, this other subcontractor, the one that I use for my concrete walls, he said, well, he messes up walls. So, I get it, man. Builders, you can't be that builder that rely so heavily on your subcontractors to get everything right until you just let them just do what they're going to do. And you just pay it. You can't be that builder guy. You can't be that builder. Guys, you better inspect everything these guys are doing. Guys, when it comes down to concrete and framing, in the state of Alabama, guys, you are responsible for up to 7 years on those things. And guys, it typically takes about 6 to 7 years before you start seeing the failure in those things. But guys, builders, if you're a builder here in the state of Alabama or just anywhere, guys, foundation, concrete, and framing, you don't just give that to the subcontractor, just let them do what they're gonna do. You need to be checking it behind these guys. If you're that builder, you got so much going on that you can't do it, or you can't hire a superintendent that do that, you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be sued. Or you're gonna lose money, because when they mess it up, they gotta tear it up and do it back right. So not only did you lost money, You lost time. You lost the homeowner's credibility if it was a custom job. You lost profit if it was a spec job. You can't be that guy. So, guys, you got to control your subs. And just like I told this guy, I said, look, man, your subs just can't just go out here and do what they want to do and then expect you to pay for it. And it just so happens that subcontractor that didn't go out there and do his due diligence to figure out what the cost is going to be. He didn't go out there and perfect his game so that when he sent me a quote, he got that thing figured out. The same subcontractor, no one wants to use him because if people wanted to use him and he was on top of his game, he wouldn't have trucks sitting out here in the front of my house because he'd have the money. He'd have so much money. He'd have so much, because right now, man, people are building. He would have enough money to go out here and do the jobs. People would be knocking his door down trying to get him to do jobs for him. Well, he can't do that. He got trucks in out here. He can't even move these trucks because he don't have enough jobs. Because he's not savvy on his game. And it just so happens, guys, this contractor is a black man. You can't make this up. This is where we are. And I just had somebody to just, he sent me, he responded, he commented on one of my videos and said, you just ought to just hire black folks. So I shouldn't care about him being savvy on his game. I shouldn't care about him having his licenses. I shouldn't care about him having trucks with a DOT or having the basic stuff for his vehicle storage. I shouldn't care nothing about that. I should just use him because he's black. And then the guy also said, well, I talked to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan told me that this is that, this and that. And this is another problem, man, especially in the African-American community, guy. This is another problem that we run into. When have our entertainers, this guy just jumps up, he's made his money, and I'm not taking away, because I think he was one of the best basketball players ever lived. But he made his money from putting a ball through a hoop. He made millions off of it. So he made millions, so he got enough money. If he's any kind of businessman, he got enough money to make mistakes. We don't have that. We can't make mistakes. And I guess he said, well, Michael Jordan, and I guess he said, well, Michael Jordan told me, like I'm supposed to look up and say, oh man, Michael Jordan, you talked to Michael Jordan? Man, and he's a business. Listen, guys, entertainers being divorced of the African-American community when it comes down to politics and things of that nature in business means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Now, if he went out there from the grassroots, started a little old business and built that thing up from the grassroots up, now we can talk. Now we can talk. We can talk about some stuff. But I'm just supposed to hire them because they black. Boy, I tell you what, man. All right, guys. Hey, guys, I just had to tell you guys, you got to control your subcontractors, guys. Do not let these subs get out here and do what they want to do. Don't let them do what they want to do. Don't let them charge you anything they want to charge you. You make sure you take those bills and invoices and put them in front of you, man, and put a microscope on them and make sure they're right before you pay them. Because if you pay them and they're not right, you're going to go out of business. Like, share, subscribe, guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks.